Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Today we'll be talking about these super saturated blacks and yellows and reds and greens and whites, blues, all that. I had a couple comments in a previous video asking how I got the deep black, and that's quite simple. For me, I like using the carbon steel finish on foundations. Now, depending on the type of foundation, it will change, obviously how dark it is. So like that right now, that concrete foundation is just a straight black, and then I used carbon steel finish, which kind of gives it that two-tone look. So depending on, the type of, building you're building or the look you're going for will ultimately depend if that would be something that works for you. But also, I used a custom swatch here for my black, and as you can see, I have it set to -2 on the brightness. And we could change this to matte, which will change the way that it looks. It gets even darker and it's kind of flat, like it almost looks like a black hole. The coated foundation is, you still get the reflections and the sheen off of it. And then the asphalt foundation kind of shows, that two-tone where you have the asphalt top and then the concrete bottom. There's a lot you can do within the custom swatches. Like take, for instance, this blue. We'll paint it on that right there. Like I said, depending on the actual type of foundation will ultimately depend on how it looks in the end. Doing these is super easy too. So if we go into this swatch 2, which is this yellow color, we'll go into edit. All you're going to be changing to get these colors, you're only worrying on foundation colors, you're only worrying about this top color. This top line obviously is your hue. That's the color you want to pick. This bar here is your saturation level. This is how deep that yellow or how saturated that yellow is going to be. This bottom slider is your brightness setting. So if you want this a little bit brighter, say we want to go to 2. We'll change it, and that'll brighten it up. We'll keep it on shiny. It doesn't look like much has changed, which that's the game. And now, mind you, I am in 1.2. I'm on the experimental branch. So if you're still on 1.1, this may differ for you a little bit. I know some of the concrete paintables and stuff, like the concrete pillars and such, don't color as well in 1.1 that I've noticed. But in 1.2, they do take the color a little bit better. They're not as muted. But that's the gist of it. You're just going to go in and, find, a swatch. Like all these are just, preset colors, but you can go in and edit them. Like this one is this reddish color. If we take that brightness up all the way, keep it on shiny, go back here, you can see not much has changed. It also works when you're, painting buildings. Most buildables will take, that saturated color well. White is going to be the opposite of black. So if we go into white and go to edit, you can see I have the brightness set all the way to 100. You can actually take this number and go negative. We'll go -2. And all that does is it takes the saturation out of it, basically, giving you more of a pure white color. But for most colors, this will work. Now, where you start running into issues, let's use this for example. Let's go into doing like a purple. Let's take one we haven't edited yet. Let's go here. Yeah, so Let's go into like a purpley color down to here. So now if we take this and let's go 0.5. And you see how it dropped it down there. So let's go to 2. You can see the color difference. We'll keep it on default. We'll grab that. That's the wrong color. Actually, it's not, is it? That's the one we just changed. And you can see how blue it actually is compared to what the customizer is showing you for that one. Nope, because that is the wrong one. Yep. So here's the one we just picked. It's kind of that purpley pink. But it looks, to me, it looks more pink than it does purple. And that's some of the issues you may run into down the road with some of these is the color in the customizer may look correct, but once you put it on the buildable, it will give you a different shade. The other interesting thing, and it took me a long while to figure this out, is if you go into the customizer and any of the finishes that are in here, so these are all the base colors, you know, that you know, Fix-It gives you. But you can actually right click on these and actually set a swatch to a certain thing, like pipes, for instance. I like using copper for pipes, and I have an example back here. But if you hit that little check mark, every time you build a pipe from your menu, it will automatically be all the pipe, everything pipe related will be copper. So if we go in here and we got a pipeline junction and we grab a valve, Mark II pump, everything will be colored to that. So it's a good way if you're building, say you're building a massive water, you know, water infrastructure and you want all the pipes to be a certain blue color. You can come up with that blue color and then set it to your pipes while you're in that building process. And then it eliminates you having to go back and then manually, you know, coming in, going to the customizer, grabbing the blue you want and coming back and changing everything all at the same time. You know, it just saves a lot of headache that I've seen. Also, if you go into the customizer and let's go with carbon steel. So I like to use that for, you know, concrete walls and the coated foundations and the concrete, and I have it set for my concrete foundations. So whenever I, you know, most of my buildings, when I build, I use this as a base, depending. That's the base. And I like the way that two-tone looks, especially on the coated concrete. And like when I'm building walls, like in my previous video, grab another foundation, grab that. Let's go into vertical mode here. We'll just build up a little ways. I like the way that the side of that coated foundation looks with the carbon steel finish as compared to other finishes. Now, as far as coloring, you know, the color saturation and such, I don't use this a whole lot. It is something nice to have, and you can kind of see the little, with the rain, how it kind of changes the texture of the pillars since they're standing upright. It's kind of interesting. I never noticed that before. We'll learn something new every day. So yeah, so that's going to do it for this video.